Welcome to the Beyond Leadership podcast, where we host outstanding individuals and we discover new dimensions of leadership and their talents and recipes for success. In line with this week's topic of our podcast, we continue with the debate on corporate social responsibility and how companies can strive towards achieving the performance with purpose concept in practice. Today's tip of the week is based on the article Becoming a Better Corporate Citizen, written by Noji and Govindaran, published in 2020 in Harvard Business Review. Responsible corporate citizens. There is a growing sense that corporations need to be focused more on long-term sustainability and less on short-term profitability. However, it is difficult for well-established companies to make that shift because it requires that well-entrenched organizational routines change. Most of them are not startups that begin with a social purpose. At companies that have performed well, sometimes for decades, it's natural for employees to continue the behaviors that have led to strong results. Success, more than failure, prevents a company's transformation. Researchers studied the transformation journey of Pepsi and its performance with purpose and provide some guidance for CEOs seeking to implement a purpose-driven strategy at their own companies. Tip number 1. Anchor your transformation in a view of the future. Leaders should consider setting up a team that reports directly to the CEO and scouts out the megatrends that will affect the organization. Members of the team should be carefully selected so that they are not wedded to the status quo and can think outside in. Tip number 2. Ensure that the board is your ally. Such a strategy requires the support of the board of directors. Therefore, we need to show the board how the megatrends analysis should shape their strategy and how performance with purpose would be beneficial for the company in the long term. Tip number 3. Be thoughtful about the language you use to communicate your transformation. Global companies must communicate its purpose-driven strategy in a way that everyone, everywhere can understand it. But it should not trivialize the message. Tip number 4. Model the necessary behaviors with early actions. Taking bold actions early is critical for showing the organization that the purpose-driven strategy is not just the flavor of the day. 3 things will send a clear message: creating high-profile leadership positions and filling many of them with outsiders, overturning decisions that would have made it through in the old days, and letting some people go. Tip number 5. Develop the capabilities that advance the purpose-driven strategy. To execute the newly promoted strategy, a company has to build fresh capabilities in different fields. Such a change consists of a talent pool, cultural background, gender, ethnicity, and location. Tip number 6. Localize the execution of strategy. In the example of a company that operates in several markets, each market should have the freedom to tailor the approach to its needs. Freedom within a frame. Tip number 7. Find support outside the company. CEOs within a company cannot execute a purpose-driven strategy without building coalitions of support and finding ways to respond to external critics. And final tip: embed purpose in the organizational DNA. A purpose-driven transformation may start out as the CEO's passion, but it will not survive unless it's embedded in the organizational DNA. That requires several kinds of reinforcement through communication, resource allocation, goal setting, and recognition and rewards. How important is corporate social responsibility for our future generations? Do you consider this aspect when thinking about different purchasing options? This concludes this week's Tip of the Week. Thank you for joining us. Make sure to subscribe and follow us on all podcast channels like Spotify, Apple, Google, Castbox, and also follow us on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. We're closely approaching 2,000 members, or should I say 2,000 Beyond Leaders. Till next time.